Right, so very, very warm welcome to Dharma Night. If you've come along just as a regular punch at Dharma Night, you might be wondering why there's so many people this week. It is because it's a very special Dharma Night, because we will be hearing from these three men who have just recently been ordained, just very fresh from the experience of ordination. So it's a very, very special evening. But I want to welcome particularly any friends and family who have come of these three men. And we'll start as we usually do. I'll also mention Kusaladhara and Dharma, who were ordained recently with two of these men at least. Yeah, so very welcome. Right, so we'll start. I'll say a bit more about what we're going to do, but we'll start as we usually do by saluting the three jewels of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Feel free to listen or join in as you'd like. We're doing full response. Namo Buddhaya. So feel free just to sit comfortably, because I'll say a bit about what we're going to be doing, and then we'll meditate briefly, and then we will be hearing from these three men, and then we'll have a tea break, and then we'll do a big ritual to sort of celebrate in the second half of Sampal Puja. So that's the running of the evening. My phone's just buzzed, so just a reminder to turn your phone off. Oh, I can't. It's embarrassing. Stop the camera. Great. Yeah. So yeah, it is a lovely moment. It is a lovely moment to be. Well, about 4 months ago, we sent these men off to be ordained, didn't we? Perhaps many of us were here at that event, and they have all gone off slightly different routes, but they've all gone off and been ordained. So what has happened? What has happened? Are they any different? What's that? Are you providing us? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, we're going to hear a bit from them, but we won't charge them with that huge question to answer. But it's just an opportunity to hear from them, from each of them. And well, what we can say is that, well, two of them, Dharmachanda and Kusaladhara, have been off to the local retreat centre in Spain for 3 months. I just got back myself yesterday from a solitary retreat there. And been through an intensive course of training. And Shubhadasa here has been on we know not what by way of training during this 4-month period. He's been in between. He wasn't able to get on that course for reasons of his dad's health, actually. So he has had his own particular journey through this period. But similarly is ordained. So what does it mean to get ordained? Well, what these three men have done is they have committed themselves to the three jewels, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. That's what they have done. They're called the three jewels because they are of infinite value. They're of infinite value. And that value is nonetheless, that infinite value is nonetheless accessible. It's very accessible. they've each kind of come along and tried it out. That's what you can do with the Dharma. You can come along and you can try it out. So it's incredibly accessible, each in their own ways. First, Kusaladhara came along in Letchworth, classes in Letchworth, just to find out about meditation, how he could work with his mind. Dharmachanda came along to a Mitra ceremony, the first event he came to, and that impacted on him. So he just sort of tested it, tried it out, and Shubhadasa pitched right into Buddhism too. So very characteristic of Shubhadasa, who's a sort of mammoth of enthusiasm and energy, just sort of pitched himself right into Buddhism too. But they each tested it out, and they've kept testing it out. They've since then supported classes. Dharmachanda, it's wonderful to be in classes with Dharmachanda. He loves supporting classes. That just sort of shines, which is, you know, delightful to be doing with him. You sort of want to do it more for his sort of love of it. They've studied the Dharma week after week after week, Mitra study. They've become Mitras, of course. I remember the conversation we had, Kusaladhara, when you became a Mitra, you confessed something to me, actually. I was so sort of humbled by it, such sort of integrity. Really, really sort of shone through the Kusaladhara. And then they have befriended people in the order, befriended people in the ordination process. So in all of these ways, they've been kind of trying it out. They've been kind of testing out the Dharma. But now what they've done is they have committed themselves, because what all of those things amount to is a total transformation. They amount to a life. That's really what the Dharma amounts to. It amounts to a whole life that can transform you. So that is what they have actually now committed to that life of transformation. And really, that's what the Dharma is. That's what the Dharma is. So by listening to them, whatever they say, actually, something of that comes through. In a way, you could say that to really catch what the Dharma is, you catch that from a person. That's most eloquently communicated in the person. So what they can kind of communicate to you, not necessarily merely verbally, clearly, is what the Dharma is, in a way that a book can never adequately communicate. So that's the wonder of being here tonight and listening to them share something of that sort of shining, pure commitment that they have freshly made to this life of total transformation. So that's what they're going to be doing. But what we'll do to start off with is we'll just do a metta-bhavana practice for them in 5 stages. So we'll start with ourselves, and then each of these 3 fine men. I'll say their names in this order. So if you don't you don't know the name, which person the name corresponds to, you can kind of direct your metta to that one and that one and that one. And then all beings at the end. So we'll just do a very, very short metta before we hear from them. Right. So now we come to the main bit where we'll hear from these 3 men. You may have noticed that they're wearing robes.
You're not.
Yeah. Don't rub my nose in it. Yeah, so during the ordination course, they wore robes. And of course, the robes are a symbol of this sort of total envelopment in the Dharma, in a Dharma life. You sort of kind of envelop yourself covered in the Dharma, blue being the color that's associated with the Dharma. So in a way, they're a sort of symbol of this kind of total transformation that they're committed to. So we'll hear from each of them. Each have been given a strict time of 10 minutes, which is totally unfair.
So we may extend it to 11. Yeah, each, that is. Yeah, and Kusaladhara is going to come first. So would you like to come and stand here, and then I'll give you a wave at 8.
I think after that, there's almost no need to talk, is there? I'm not here because I'm not going first because I'm the wisest. I just happen to be the oldest, clear. And I think you're taking the Olympics too seriously. This is not a time trial. And if he starts waving his hands at me, it probably means I'm disqualified. But I will try to keep to the time limit. Well, we've been asked to start with just sharing what our name means. That the name gets given to you by your preceptor, which in my case is Kusaladhara, and it's in the context of ethics. My name, it means he who keeps the skillful or holds the skillful in mind, and Kusaladhara would add to that, he who keeps it in their heart. So when I think about all the different elements of the 3 months that go to making what's been a life-changing experience, an image comes to mind, and it's an image of a mosaic where each individual element that I've experienced, whether it's been putting on the robe for the first time, the private ordination, the public ordination, the many rituals and other rich aspects of the Kukiloka course. I think each of those elements, I get the sense that they have been crafted with enormous care and enormous love. And in their own right, they're beautiful. But then for me, my experience is that they've come together to produce this absolutely magnificent picture. I only wish I knew what the picture was. At this stage, it's beautiful, it's magical, but it's fundamentally mysterious. And I think I've just got to be patient and await that to unfold. The richness of the experience, you can't articulate. Those who have been on the course will have experienced it and have some sense of what I'm talking about. It just goes to so many different levels. And I know that I've just got to be patient and let most of that unfold. What I am absolutely clear about is, though, a couple of things. One is I've come back with something which I didn't anticipate, and that's an even deeper confidence in following the path, in following the Dharma, and knowing that that's the only thing that can bring meaning to my life. And that somewhat surprised me, because I thought I had full confidence, as it were, and then I've gone and experienced another level. It feels even more grounded. I've also got a really palpable sense of the preciousness of the opportunity that I've been presented with. And that's really strong and really alive. The issue about that is it brings a challenge. I think there's a Zen saying which Jack Cornfield, I think, uses as a title for one of these books: after the ecstasy, the laundry. When I mentioned that to Kusaladhara, he said, well, in your case, it's after the ordination, the toilets. Because my first contact with the centre was last week, coming to clean the toilets. But that, to me, really puts that challenge in perspective, because the challenge is, how do I bring the richness of the experience that I've had in Padmaloka and Kukiloka to every single thing that I do in my life? And that's just an enormous challenge. So as Arthur Siddhi was saying, we're living the Dharma, we're wearing it. Not only do you put on a robe, you take on the Dharma. And with that, there's this enormous challenge. But I feel that, well, I know I'm not alone. You know, I've got support. So I just look around the room at all these wonderful people who have made, you know, the extra effort to get here and celebrate the evening with me. And that is so rich. And I do, just kind of an aside, I just want to express my gratitude for the warmth of the welcoming and the joy that people have expressed in me being ordained. It's just incredibly moving and incredibly inspiring. I know actually that I'll have to start weaning myself off hugs. I nearly said drugs. I'm not on drugs, but actually I am on hugs, and I need to wean myself off a little bit, otherwise I'll get withdrawal symptoms. But I'm deeply grateful for that. So I know there's all the support there. I had that first chapter meeting on Sunday, and again the welcome was just immense, and just feeling at home with 5 other guys straight away because of that shared belief in what we're doing is just immensely inspiring. I've got wonderful Kalyana Mitras. I've got an absolutely fantastic preceptor in Kate Raja, who's given me a name which I will definitely strive to live up to. So I can't bring the conditions that were there in Kusaladhara here with me. I know they can't be the same. So there's more the challenge of bringing the same commitment, the same connection, and the same energy to my Dharma life. But I know I've got that support that will help me to at least achieve that in some degree. And that's my aim. And not just to achieve it when I'm meditating or Dharma studying, to achieve it when I'm cleaning the toilets. Very important. I'll just finish by one further point, which an awareness grew and grew. But I think I was most aware of it when I actually came away from the retreat and was on my own, of just how much ordination is something massively beyond me. You know, the significance for me, I can't articulate, but it's much bigger. And with that sense of connection with that is a real desire to support and help other people in the way that I've been helped and support. And a lot of that will be through the Luton group, through the Letchworth group, but I sincerely hope some of it can be through the Cambridge group. And then also with that awareness is a deep sense of responsibility around maintaining the integrity of the order and the integrity of a Dharma life. I just hope that my name lives up to that. And at this moment in time, I'm totally committed to trying to achieve that and to live a full and active Dharma life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kusala. That was stirring stuff, really lovely to hear. Thank you very much. And now, Dharmachanda.
We'll follow that. I have to say, being at Kusaladhara with Kusaladhara was quite an inspiration. I mean, everyone that you're on the course with inspired me, but Kusaladhara in particular with actually he cleaned the toilets there as well. Something anyway, don't quite understand why that is. But he was everywhere. He was just supporting so many people, mostly with humour. Mostly making everyone laugh, including me. It seemed to be like a bottomless pit of laughter, which we really needed, and I valued. So yes, really inspiring being on retreat with Kusaladhara. So thank you everyone for coming. I mean, I can't even see who's here really, but lots of people. I'm so grateful to you for coming. I also feel like I've been welcomed back already. I've been back for 4 weeks. And I mean, from the welcome we had at Stansted, 7 of us were in robes, including Kusaladhara, coming into arrivals. Quite weird having my own camera pointed at me. Guess who's editing those pictures? Coming around the corner into arrivals at Stansted to cheer. With Vimaladeepa and Shaki Kumara and Sarvajit and lots of others. I'm not going to name everyone. 30 odd people to welcome the 7 of us. We're wearing our robes, aren't we? Which we put on in luggage. Reclaim. Anyway, It's one of the most joyous things I've ever been involved in, I think, because it was really unexpected to be so welcomed, and that set the tone for how it's been. I mean, I've made a point of meeting up with friends since I've been back. Made a point of being here a lot. Lucky enough to be in that position where I can, and it's like everyone I'm bumping into is just so really pleased to see me back. Pleased, just excited for me, showing happiness, and it's made me very happy to be back. So thank you for that. I'll use my 10 minutes up already. 10 minutes is a ridiculous amount of time to talk about, but no way can I touch the surface of what I could talk about. So grab me later. But yeah, so I went to Kusaladhara with the words of Artapriya in my mind, going around my head, which he promised a simple life in the mountains with the bonds of brotherhood. You said that to me and a few others, and that was very attractive, a very attractive prospect. I've always wanted to go to Kusaladhara since I first asked for ordination 8.5 years ago. Anyway, so very attractive prospect, but it's partly delivered. But actually, it's a very complicated life in the mountains, because you're put up against yourself. We're a closed system, and I'm looking at two men over there who were there with Kusaladhara and I, Amuladasa and Dharma. For all I know, there might be some others. So we created a closed system. That's how I see it. There was 22 of us in this beautiful, breathtakingly beautiful mountain valley. No roar of roads in the background, nothing to distract us, very little input apart from what we gave each other. We created a closed system where we were just relating to the three jewels and our commitment to that ideal. So things are going to come up, and I certainly had tears, a lot of tears of joy from all of the beautiful devotional rituals. That was one of my favorite aspects of the 3 months, was all the devotional rituals we did. So beautifully created by the team. Joy of just being in peace with myself and in that pine forest with these lovely men in silence much of the time. By the way, I can't say too much in story terms because I really appreciated not knowing what it was going to be like. I didn't know what it was going to be like there. I didn't know what we were going to do. I really appreciated that surprise. So I don't want to give too much away to those who haven't been, who might go. Alan. So, and others, sorry, and others. Anyway, so yeah, the joy of just being in that peace in my mind and peace in the place, but also tears of, oh gosh, my childhood conditioning is coming to hit me now. Some things that really have, affected my adult life, my tendencies that have dogged me and that I've been working on, and the emotions are coming out now, a bit too late. Yeah, you come up against them, you see them more clearly when there's nothing else to see much apart from the Dharma. So that caused me some grief, very helpfully, of course, very, very helpfully. And I had some health issues and some of those tendencies that I mentioned there, they're about my confidence as a human. They're about how I relate to other people. They're about how I felt about myself. They are quite challenging. But where else will I get the opportunity to look at these things, to see them for what they are? So coming back into the other thing is, I must say that I felt protected. I don't know about you three, but I really felt protected from the suffering world, so that I can come back into the suffering world as a happier, more able to deal with that suffering world with joy, with positivity and positive emotions. I feel that's sort of started to happen. I mean, I've been back for a few weeks, and certainly I feel really good. I just feel so good. I feel so kind of happy with what I've done. I think the commitment I've made makes sense to me. I've illustrated it to myself by being there. I've got a piece of paper here, just 4 pages long, with all the things I was going to say. I think it might be too late for that. Should I get onto my name? So my name is Dharmachanda, and it was given to me by Priyadaka, who unfortunately can't be here tonight. She's packing up the green gathering, the Green Awakening, or some such Buddha field event. So, but he's the one who I've got the most gratitude to in general for standing here talking to all of you in a case, because he's helped guide me in those final few steps, and he's seen me well enough to the extent to know what my true name is. So Dharmachanda is quite familiar, was already quite familiar to me, because it means something in itself. I wrote my name down in my notebook on retreat before I knew it. That afternoon of my private ordination, which is where you're giving your name, I wrote my name in my notebook. So you can see that it was the right name. Yeah, I was studying a book, like personal study, and it was talking about desire and yeah, stuff, and talked about the 2 types of desire. So I wrote down in my book, Dharmachanda, not Karmachanda. Yeah, it turned out to be Dharmachanda, thankfully. But Priyadaka didn't call me Karmachanda. So Karmachanda means desire for sensual experience. I'm sure you all understand what that means. I certainly do. I think what Priyadaka has seen in me is that I have a strong desire, but I've turned some of that towards something a bit more that I can rely upon to bring more lasting happiness than just nice cameras, pretty girls, nice coffee, and music, and so on. So he's seen that I've turned some of my desire towards the truth or the Dharma. And that can be, I can interpret this in lots of ways. I have been interpreting this in lots of ways. It really fits, I think, some of the ways I feel and think. So yeah, it means he who has desire for the truth. I mean, basically it's plunging me into the unknown, because I don't really know what the truth is. I don't know what the truth is. I have a sense that I want to go towards it, and I mean, I'm sure most of you know that I'm not really satisfied with what society has presented me with. It's a bit superficial, really. It doesn't really give me much. I mean, I've done okay with it. It's been fun, but it's not very substantive. It doesn't lead to me being happy with myself or with others. So I'm hoping that if I can follow through on the commitment I've made and to live by my name, then I'll make more sense of what the truth in some respect is. So have you waved at me yet?
I haven't.
Oh, good.
You were speaking so well, I just let you.
That's about 10 minutes, is it? Oh. Yeah. That's probably enough about my name. What else was I going to say? Yeah, gratitude. Vimala Deepa. What can I say? Archapriya. What can I say? Just everyone else, just to pull myself back together. Thank you for helping me get into a position where I can see a bit more clearly about what makes me happy. And I think I've been given an incredible gift, a precious gift, a gift that I couldn't have imagined being given, a gift I can't even describe. And it's wrapped in this beautiful mountain valley with 22 men in blue robes and white funny things, walking down rocky steep paths and around a funny structure thing, or mustn't say too much, together in silence, because that's what they want to do. That's what we want to do. We want to go towards something that's a bit more, has more depth to it, what I otherwise would have done with the rest of my life. So yeah, so much gratitude to everyone for getting me into that position, and for not giving me longer to speak, because I could say so much more. You can clap now.
Thanks very, very much. Yeah, lovely to hear something of the. It's lovely that the both of you on the course together, and we could hear something of that sort of shared experience as well. It's not. It is an individual experience, but it's also a shared experience, isn't it? Yeah, so it was very touching hearing about that. And now, Shubhadasa.
Everybody, lovely to see everyone. So we just heard from two guys who've been back for 4 weeks. I've been back for 4 days, and I don't really know what's happening. So I make no apologies for having a piece of paper, some steerage. I'm Shubhadasa. I'll go into the name later on, but it's so new still that I still like to hear it as often as possible. So please call me as much as you like. Makes it real. When our city said we'd talk, would we mind talking? I'd expected nothing less than to address you and to say a little what's going on. I did say that it'd be sort of such a new experience for me that I didn't quite know what would happen. I might just stand here and grin at you all for 10 minutes. You said it wouldn't necessarily be the first time that kind of non-verbal communication had happened like this. In the short time since I've come back, I've been sort of back into the world very quickly. I have a new granddaughter, my first grandchild, which sort of dominated things. So grandparents know, you have to really give a shout out to your grandchildren at the earliest possible opportunity, as often as you can. So come back from this sort of wonderful retreat, 2 weeks at Padmaloka. It's lovely to hear about the sort of wonderful experience Dharmachanda and Kusaladhara have had. This is the one that I had, and it felt plenty deep, and time didn't seem to make any sense. It seemed like we could have been there for 2 days or 2 years. It was just astonishing, very, very deep. 11 days of silence, some intense meditation. The public ordination, wonderful public ordination on the Friday, and on Saturday morning we were warmly, lovingly, joyfully invited to get off the premises and to go and join the rest of the world. As I said, we had family on Sunday and Monday. I went to see my dad, who is the reason why I didn't go on the longer retreat. See how he's been. I haven't seen him for 3 days. And then Tuesday, so I'm here, and it's been quite a whirl. So as I said, I make no apologies having some guidance as to what to say. I've not really had much chance to actually sort of kind of think about it too much, to be honest with you, to even sort of reflect. I know it's a long time to actually understand, really, for all of us, for really what's happened. But I didn't even have time to actually look in my journal to sort of see if I could get some pointers. So I thought that we had my first order meeting on the afternoon of the public ceremony. And I thought actually what I'd sort of spoken about there as I was reporting out sort of seemed to be quite good areas to actually sort of kind of dwell on a little bit more. I didn't really have much time to do it there. Take that as a starting point. Don't have enough time to talk about them, but I was first off, it's a huge gratitude for the people who ran that ordination retreat, for the retreats of Padmaloka generally. If I could have separated the ordination out from the retreat, I'm sure it would have been such a sort of a momentous experience anyway. But of course, can't separate the ordination out from that particular retreat. So the sense of actually sort of the huge appreciation of the support of the ordination team, of the fellow retreatants who were so there for us. It was fabulous. They were having their own retreat experience, but really supporting us which is really, really marvelous. The huge, deep significance, which I know has happened, but I can't get anywhere near yet, of the private ordination ceremony. The sort of beauty and reality of the purification pujas that we did. And then the weightiness and significance, all the thing I've spoken about, the joyfulness of the public ordination, which is only on Friday. I was reminded that sort of Bante said, which really means quite a lot to me, which really registered with me, that the greatest gift that we can be given is to find a public myth that allows our private myth to unfold. And that was really so manifest during the public ordination ceremony, actually, where finally we could say who we were and sort of finally speak again. It was quite an experience. Yeah, the second thing that I sort of dwelt on was the fact it wasn't just my ordination. There were 4 other guys being ordained there, and it's the closest that I've ever been to men being ordained. I sat we sat together before the private ordination, and it felt such a privilege to be able to share that experience with them. Not just the fact that we were sharing together, but I was there with them as they were about to be privately ordained, which is such a wonderful experience. Yeah, a real privilege, and feel that such a bond has been forged between us. We didn't really know each other terribly well before we met. And then the third one, the sort of kind of main theme, which I'm really conscious of, is just gratitude. I feel so grateful. I didn't have a chance to sort of research the reference, but I was on a Padmaloka retreat just before, 6 or 8 weeks before the ordination retreat, where Bante in the 10 Pillars talks about the habitual human state as being one of impoverishment, where we feel we're not enough, and we have to keep grabbing out in the world and actually taking things onto ourselves to fill ourselves up, to fulfill ourselves. But the more we realize our true state, which is clearly a long road, but it's actually a state of great abundance. We actually have what we need, and particularly when we encounter the Dharma, we have exactly what we need, and we can just feel grateful and generous with the fact we have what we need. And then that will just carry on happening. The more that we can clear our eyes and clear our minds and clear our hearts, that sense of gratitude and abundance will only continue. I'm very, very aware that that's actually what's been happening with me. I think actually when I ever first gave a talk here at the Buddhist Center, I spoke about feeling a sense that there was something more to the world. Since I was very small, there was something more to the world. And I think that I begin to see that was a kind of a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be a conscious human being. It's like, what of all the lotteries we could win, to actually get a chance to be a conscious being, and then try and figure out what we're supposed to do with that privilege. I mean, what a wonderful opportunity. It's inherent on us then to try and find out what we're supposed to do with it. And for me, that sort of sense of gratitude was most. I recognized it most when in moments of quietness and stillness, and particularly of beauty. I found as life went on, I was engaging more and more with objects of beauty, with music, with poetry, yes. And it's that impulse of actually recognizing that this actually is not just some ornament to life. This beauty isn't just an ornament to life. It's actually something that urges us forward. It's like there's something meaningful here actually for us to follow. And that's actually really what happened with me. You actually followed through a life which was on the surface of normal life, actually really quite successful. It wasn't enough. Pushed on through that, looking everywhere I could, and found Buddhism, and finally found actually where that sense of beauty really was leading to. It was the Dharma. And the sense that the Dharma can only get more beautiful the more that we engage with it. So I'm clearly leading up to my name here. Which when I heard it, Fernanda, thank you so much. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. It just felt like something was just there for me to step into. Not only was it sort of a kind of validation of actually sort of what had been happening with me, but also absolutely that's the way forward for me. Actually, this is the container for me that actually will grow if I follow this life. And so, yeah, so I have lots and lots of specific gratitudes that I would like to share with you, but I probably don't have enough time. I can certainly, well, I mean, they start and end with Bhante, really. I'd recognize that Buddhism was a way forward for me long before I came to the center. The reason why I jumped onto Buddhism too, because I felt that I sort of knew Buddhism. But I was just so blown away by Bhante's presentation. It just sort of spoke to me in the way that I've been experiencing life. Friendship is such a beautiful thing. What we have here, what we share with each other, such a beautiful thing. And I know maybe I should headline gratitude to the Buddha, but I don't know the Buddha anything like I know I should do. And I know it's Bhante who will get me closer to understanding what the Buddha really is. He's my route. His presentation is my route to understanding what the Buddha is, where this life ultimately leads. I will do some specific thank yous. I don't want to turn it into a sort of an award acceptance speech, but I want to thank my Going for Refuge brothers, past and present. Bernard, thank you for a bit where I can't see you, but thank you for being on the retreat. It was fabulous to have you with me. My Kalina Mitras, Dharmanata and Samudra Gosha. Dharmanata was with them too. Samudra Gosha came for the private ceremony, the public ceremony. Benny Makula, thank you for all your help. Artpriya. Yeah, my fellow school of 24 Cambridge Dharmacharis and Dharmacharinis. I'm going to particularly mention my dear friend Dharmachanda, who's both my Going for Refuge, and he was there as well. He came along and did some fantastic photographs of the public ordination. And I must not miss my wife, who's been tremendously tolerant. She doesn't understand what on earth this is all about. She's been amazingly tolerant. And finally, Prinanda. I've known you for quite a while, and I've had a fabulous respect for you and an acknowledgement of your practice and your bearing and your knowledge. But something happened on that retreat there, which I feel now clearer, actually seeing who you are, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. One of the real sort of reminder, lasting images for me is going to the Kuti, following you, you with your full robes in the case, and me not with mine yet, like a sort of devoted disciple behind you, actually to practice with you and to talk to you and to learn from you. So yeah, so thank you very much, and thank you for my name. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think I can't say anymore. Probably overrun, but thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you very, very much. That was really, really lovely, inspiring, moving, touching to hear from the three of you. Thank you very much. Particularly Shubhadasa, so fresh from the sort of eye of the storm. That is the transformation of ordination, but you communicated loads for that. And now we're going to have a tea break. So anything that you didn't feel they got across, you can go and ask them and say, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? So yeah, we'll have a tea break. It's a chance just for you to also sort of express your well-wishing appreciation if that's what you'd like. And then we'll come back. And as I said, Kate Roger will lead us in the sevenfold puja so that we can really thoroughly sort of mark this very, very significant act, I suppose, that we witness and receive something of in your, what you talked about. Great. So we'll go for a tea break. Stop.